how do you even design questionnaires with open-ended questions? So let's look at that briefly to see how this works. I created a survey here to give you an example of this. We're going to call this the Research Software Usage Survey. So I'm going to go through the questions that I created, and then we're going to see how we can create it. So this first question says, have you ever used any statistical software in your research? The answer is yes, I have, no, I haven't, or I don't do research. If they don't do research, obviously we exclude them from the survey, right? Then we say, first things first, which statistical software do you primarily use in your research, right? Then you can select the one that they used most of the time. And then we say, great choice. How long have you been using the answer? Whatever the answer here, you put it here. So if they said Python, for example, you would say, great choice. How long have you been using Python software in your research? Please type the length of time in the box below and select the unit of time. So this guy is like, okay, is it talking with me? Like, how do you know? So it keeps the survey dynamic. It makes the person feel very engaged in the survey. And the quality of the responses is also improved. Now, when you ask that question, let's dive deeper. During this period, what have you found most appealing to the period they just typed? And then you say, switching gears, have you ever participated in a project that involved machine learning? The answer, yes and no. Now, based on their answer, you can now detail the next questions to be very specific. If they said they are Python users and they have never done machine learning, you could say, interesting. You use Python for your work, but you never went into machine learning. If I may ask, what was the single most important factor that stopped you from going to that direction? Now, this is getting very personalized because you are now referencing something they said in the past. Like, okay, you said you use Python for your work, but how come, right? It's almost as though the survey is written for that guy alone, right? To him, that's how it feels like. Now, if they said they use Python and have done machine learning, you could say, oh, it's always exciting to see Python programmers who are into machine learning. If I might ask, what was the single most important factor that made you go into this field? Again, to that participant, it feels very, very personalized. And then if there are non-Python users who are in machine learning, you could ask them that same question but in a different way. I noticed that you don't use Python for your day-to-day work, but you are into machine learning. If I might ask, what is the foremost tool you use for your machine learning? And then the answer. If they are non-Python programmers and they're not into machine learning, you could say, given you are neither an avid Python user nor a machine learning aficionado, how comfortable will you be if you were to work in a tech company? So you see, each person has a special question for them. And the overall experience is very rich, it's very personalized, and it's extremely engaging for the participants. And then we have an open-ended question here. We're planning to have a workshop on AI and research ethics in the next 2 months. Please select what date and time works for you below. And then lastly, how best do you think we could leverage AI in research? We'd love to hear your thoughts. So if you look at this questionnaire, right, see how it's an open-ended questionnaire for the most part. And let's go back and review how much I have used open-ended questions. Here, this is an open-ended question. I say, how long have they been using that software? It's open to them to give me whatever answer they want. So it's open-ended in that context. So that's one question I have employed in this survey. Then, secondly, I say we're planning to have a workshop on AI. What date and time works best for you? I didn't say select option one. No. It's open-ended. You can tell me whatever you want, right? So that's the second open-ended question I used. And then lastly, I say, oh, just tell me, how do you think we can leverage AI in research? And again, they are left to answer in their own words. So this is some of the ways I have made my own questionnaire engaging and very personalized for each individual so that the response rates are going to be very high. So nobody feels as if they're just answering a cookie cutter question. It's almost as if I'm there speaking with them about the survey. Now, of course, the hard part is how do you program this? How do you launch this kind of survey? It's pretty very easy.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell icon to turn on notifications. Got questions or suggestions? Drop them in the comments below, and remember to share this video with your friends and colleagues who might find it useful. Chisquares, democratizing knowledge.